Hello everybody, I'm on the rooftop here at our apartment here, our hotel slash apartment for the next few days here in Bangkok, Thailand. And they have a little area where you can sit up here and just kind of relax here on the rooftop. And you may hear the SkyTrain go by and some ambulances because apparently we're not too far from a hospital. And so I started thinking with this weekend approaching that maybe we needed some reminders in terms of how we're going to be traveling, our rental car coverage and protection. And I wanted to just share that with you a little bit. What kind of rental car coverage do you have? How are you renting your car? Are you renting your car with a debit card? Are you renting your car with a credit card that offers no rental car protection? Are you renting your car with a built MasterCard through Wells Fargo? Are you renting your car this way? Or are you using a premium travel credit card, one of the top in the business, to rent your car, the Chase Sapphire Reserve? Why is that important? It's important because if you use your own personal auto insurance to rent the car, what you're running into is the fact that your personal auto policy, your PAP, and if you have standard coverages of 100, 300, 100, that's 100,000 per person on bodily injury, 300,000 bodily injury for all the people involved that have a bodily injury on a pro rata basis, which basically means they'll split the 300,000, share alike, and then 100,000 on the property damage, which is the car you may hit, the telephone pole, if you veer off and hit a fence or hit a house. So your 100, 300, 100,000 in your PAP protections. If you have a rental car and you rent it without the right credit card, you're really doing yourself a disservice. And I want to address this with you here so you can understand exactly what I'm talking about. If you use a credit card, let's start with the debit card. If you use this debit card, right, then you're putting your personal assets at risk, even if you have a personal auto policy. Why do I say that? Because your personal auto policy is only going to cover the rental car less depreciation, less the actual cash value, or whatever they determine the car is. For example, if you were to use your own car, right, and it got into an accident, the insurance company doesn't always pay you the total amount, right, for the repairs. They don't always pay you. Let's say your car is worth $45,000. The insurance company may evaluate it at $40,000. So you're left with a $5,000 gap and arguing with the insurance company about the value of your car because you got to replace the car, and you have your $1,000, $1,500, $2,500 deductible. So you leave yourself a gap of $5,000, plus you have a deductible from what, $500 to $1,000. I think most people take $1,000 today. So $1,000 to $2,500 in deductibles, plus the $5,000 the insurance company wouldn't pay. So now you got a gap of $7,500 you got to come up with, and that's tough. However, if you use this credit card, you're going to end up in the same shape, because this Visa card through Wyndham has no rental car benefits. This is not the credit card you use to rent a car. Okay? Now, I got something better for you here. if you've got a built MasterCard or anything similar to this, you have now entered the world of primary rental car coverage. That's primary rental car coverage for this Wells Fargo built credit card. What does that mean? That means that if I rent a car from Hertz and that car is damaged, I can file the claim through built credit card, not through my personal auto policy. Built credit card through Wells Fargo gives me a benefit of primary auto rental insurance up to $50,000. And they're going to evaluate the claim pretty much like your personal auto policy will. Okay? Now, I got something even better than that. It's this, the Chase Sapphire Preferred. Okay? Chase Sapphire Reserve, right? There are two different Sapphire products. They both come with premium primary auto rental car coverage. That is significant for you. Here's why. Chase, as a benefit for being a card holder, offers Sapphire, Chase Sapphire Preferred, Chase Sapphire Reserve, credit card benefits of primary rental car coverage just for the rental car itself. On the Chase Sapphire Preferred, $60,000 of primary coverage, and on the Chase Sapphire Reserve, or CSR, $75,000 in primary rental car coverage. Now, this is just for the car itself that you rent from Hertz. Not any bodily injury coverage, not any property damage coverage. This is simply for the rental car itself. Now, what makes this significant for you and for me is that you don't file a claim through your personal auto policy. You don't have to pay a deductible. You don't have to deal with your insurance company valuing the rental car, less depreciation, less your deductible, and end up with that $5,000 gap, less your deductible, plus your deductible. Yeah. So you're looking at that same $7,500. Now, if you rent your car through a Hertz rental car with this Chase Sapphire Reserve or Preferred, you're going to come out, I'm going to save you at least several thousands of dollars by simply understanding that when you go to the rental car counter and Hertz tries to sell you, there are 6 or 7 different auto insurances. When you get to the one that says CDW/LDW for collision damage waiver and loss damage waiver, you want to reject that coverage. It may be $25.99, it may be $35.99, it may be $45.99, whatever it is, you want to reject it if you have a premium travel credit card or any credit card. It could be from a credit union, it could be American Express, but you want a credit card that is going to give you the benefit of primary auto insurance. Now, that is one of the best things you could do for yourself. Why? Because Chase is broad in what they cover. Let me share with you what they cover. Chase covers, under their auto rental coverage provision, page 3 of your benefits. It says this benefit provides reimbursement for damages caused by theft or collision of the rental vehicle up to $75,000. Okay? And it says coverage is available worldwide. Now here's what you need to do. You are covered when you use a covered card account, which would be your credit card here, right? Chase, Sapphire, Reserve, or Preferred, or any premium credit card, whether it's through Wells Fargo or your credit union. But make sure it's a premium credit card that's giving you primary auto coverage. Okay, so you're covered when you use a covered card account and or redeemable rewards. So probably if you had some Chase points, you could use those to purchase or to rent the car. You have to use your covered card and or redeemable awards to initiate and complete the entire rental vehicle transaction. Only you, as a primary renter of the rental vehicle, and any additional drivers permitted by the rental car agreement are covered. So when you go to rent your rental car, you rent your rental car with this credit card, okay? Or any credit card that you have that has rental car coverage. When you go to pay for your rental car, you have to pay for your rental car with this same card, okay? You can't decide at the end of the rental, well, my uncle's going to use his credit card or my mom's going to use her. No, you have to stick through with the rental and pay for it, book it with the same Chase Sapphire card. Okay, whether it be the Preferred or the Reserve, or any car similar like that, American Express, Platinum, whatever card you have that gives you good primary rental coverage. Okay, here's why you want to use the Chase Sapphire rental car coverage versus your personal auto policy. What's covered? Okay, this benefit covers theft, damage, valid loss of use charges imposed and substantiated by the rental agency, administrative fees, and reasonable and customary towing charges due to a covered theft or damage to the nearest qualified repair facility. No other type of loss is covered. For example, in the event of a collision involving the rental vehicle, damage to any other driver's car, the injury of anyone, or damage to anything is not covered. Rental periods up to 31 consecutive days are covered. So as we mentioned earlier, this does not cover bodily injury. It does not cover property damage to the other person's car that you may damage. This is simply rental car coverage for the rental car that you rent from Hertz, okay? It's primary coverage as a temporary substitute vehicle for your car that you have on your policy, okay? So now let's see what else we can glean from this. How does this benefit work? Inside the United States and outside the United States where this benefit is available, the coverage provided is primary, okay? That's what you want. Now, you have to check for your state and your credit card, because if you live in certain states, you have to abide by the rules for your state that they have in agreement with the credit card company. Now, how do you use this benefit? Okay. It says here, use a covered card account and or redeemable rewards to initiate and complete the entire rental transaction. Number 2, review the rental card agreement and decline the rental agency's collision damage waiver / loss damage waiver option or a similar provision. So when you get to that line of the rental car agreement and it asks you to purchase these 6 insurances and you come to the one that says CDW / LDW, reject that, decline that one, okay? Now, it says here, accepting the rental agency's CDW / LDW coverage will cancel out this benefit. If the rental agency outside of the United States will not allow you to decline their CDW / LDW coverage, then this benefit is secondary to the rental agency's CDW / LDW coverage. So basically, we're going to focus just on rental cars inside the United States, okay? So you have to reject, decline the CDW, which is collision loss collision loss waiver, and LDW, loss damage waiver. Okay, so you reject those. You decline that particular line of coverage that Hertz is trying to offer you. Now, here's what it says under number 3. Some countries or rental agencies require a letter of coverage. Please check with the rental agency before you go. If a letter of coverage is required, visit chasecardbenefits.com or call 1-800-350-1697. Okay, so the main focus here is when you go to rent that car, if you have a personal auto policy, then you will be able to use your credit card benefit with your PAP, your personal auto policy, so that when you go to rent this car, you will have protection. Your credit card will protect the car. Your personal auto policy will protect any people you injure in your car and out, any property you damage with that rental car, up to the amount of coverages you have. Now, why is this crucial for you to be able to understand? Okay, let me share with you why. On Hertz website, and I have an account with Hertz, so I can talk about Hertz, it asks this question: will my own car insurance cover damage to the rental car? And here's the answer. It says, this is the question we are asked most often. The answer depends on the state in which you live and the type of policy you have. Each policy should be thoroughly checked for the specific terms and conditions associated with rental vehicles. Okay, so now they're going to give you the answer, right? They buried it in the middle of the paragraph, but I was able to extrapolate it for you. So here's the question again: will my own car insurance cover damage to the rental? You may indeed have sufficient coverage under your own auto policy. Okay, so there's the answer. For the most part, most of you with a personal auto policy with a 100, 300, 100, and a premium credit card that has primary rental insurance with limits up to $60,000 or $75,000 for damage to the rental car will have sufficient coverage. Now let me complete their paragraph. However, you may be responsible for a deductible and possibly be subject to premium increases or even policy cancellation in the event of a claim involving a rental car. You would be subject to those same things under your own personal auto policy. So I don't know why they tried to scare tactic at the end when they know that it makes no difference whether you're driving a rental car or your own personal auto. If you have an accident, it could raise your rates, cause a loss ratio increase, cause a premium increase, and cause the rental, your personal auto policy to even cancel your policy. So the fact that it's a rental car has no bearing on that. I don't even know why they put that in there. I know why: to sell insurance. And then the last paragraph they state, the last sentence they state is this: if you are not sure of the extent of your policy's coverage, ask your insurance agent or insurer. And that part is true. You should ask your insurance company or your agent whether or not you have sufficient coverages, right? Now, here's what I would do if I was renting a car in the United States, driving cross country or flying somewhere and then renting a car when I get there. If you have a personal auto policy with 100, 300, 100, I would increase the limits, okay? I would increase my PAP limits to 250, 500, 300. Here's why I say that. Because depending on the type of injury someone gets these days, 100,000 per person may not be enough. It's a holiday weekend coming up and it's summertime travel, and unfortunately this is the peak time for automobile fatalities and significant injuries. July, August, and September are the peak times of the year for auto-related, road-related, traffic-related fatalities, and motor vehicle accidents. So that being the case, I would increase my limits. Okay, when you have 250, which would cover one person, and then 500,000 for the entire accident, at least you got something there significant, $500,000 for your adjuster, your litigation examiner under your personal auto policy. I had Allstate, so I'm talking about Allstate. It could be State Farm. You want them to have enough coverage to be able to settle multiple claims that may be brought against you. And if you have 300,000 in property damage coverage, that's going to cover that Escalade you hit. That's going to cover that fence you hit. That's going to cover that light pole where the fire department had to come out, the city had to come out, the electric company, Nevada Energy had to come out. They're going to try and bill you for all that. You're going to have enough coverage for that, right? Let's say they charge you $75,000. So now you're at $175,000, you got $125,000 left on the property damage. And you hit that Escalade goes out of control, veers off, hits a wall, and then goes through the person's backyard and hit the back of their house. Right? Now you got another $75,000 or $100,000 in repairs, plus the people got to go stay in a hotel for a month or two. Well, you should be okay with that 300,000 property damage limit. So that's why it makes a difference if you rent your car with this. If you rent your car with this, the debit card. If you rent your car with this, the Visa credit card with no rental car coverage, primary or secondary, ouch. Or your rental is with this built Wells Fargo MasterCard, which gives you primary rental car coverage up to $50,000. Now, me personally, I would use the Chase Sapphire Preferred, which gives me primary rental car coverage up to $60,000, or the Chase Sapphire Reserve, which gives me rental car coverage up to $75,000. Now, this credit card is going to cost you $795 a year in annual fee. $795. Okay, its little brother, the Chase Sapphire Preferred, is going to cost you $95 a year as an annual fee. So there's a $700 difference between this card and its little brother. And there's also $15,000 difference in rental car coverage. Me personally, I think this card is worth the $795 because of the protection I'm getting when I rent a car. We rent cars pretty regularly when we're in the United States. And the potential for damage to that car, even if it's parked at the hotel we're staying at, or we're at the beach in San Diego down at OB, the potential for there to be damage to that rental car is great. We don't worry about it because we make sure we reserve the car, book the car with my Chase Sapphire Reserve or my wife's American Express Platinum, and we pay for the car the exact same way that we rented the car. Therefore, this benefit under our credit card allows us not to have to worry about filing a claim for the rental car through our own personal auto policy. We don't have to worry about paying a deductible for the rental car as if it was our temporary substitute vehicle that we're using under our personal auto policy, right? Because it would be for the collision portion of the car, right, that the rental car under your personal auto policy would be paying for repairs to the rental car. So if you don't use that particular line of coverage, you don't pay a deductible on that particular line of coverage. So that $1,000, $2,500, I've already saved you that, okay? Now the other savings is that in the event that there is a gap between what Hertz say the car is worth and what State Farm or Allstate say the car is worth, you don't even have to fight that battle with your insurance company and be left with $5,000 or $10,000 hanging out there. You file the claim through Chase. You go to the, I'm gonna give you the website. It's credit card benefits, but I want to give it to you right. Yes, it's chasecardbenefits.com. chasecardbenefits.com. You can check your other insurance too. We're going to be talking about some other insurances. Or you can call 1-800-350-1697. Now, I think you got it. And if you don't have it, you can play this back. I want to share this with you. I want you all to be safe. Every year in the U.S., there's about 40,000 people that unfortunately succumb to their injuries on our roadways. Went down a little bit last year. In 2022, it was over 40,000. 2023, it was about 42,000. And 2024, it came down to about 39,000. But those numbers are still too high. And so far in 2025, the numbers I checked showed that there's anywhere between 21,000 and 22,000 fatalities in motor vehicle accidents in the United States so far this year. So that's the first 6 months. So what does that tell you? That tells you, unfortunately, that we're on a trajectory for this to be the worst year in a long, long time. If there's 22,000 fatalities already, and we've got 6 more months to go, that means we're looking at a potential of 44,000 fatalities. So there's a predictability study that I looked at, and they use what's called a VMT formula, and that's vehicle miles traveled. And they make an estimate based on figures from previous years, They make an estimate based on previous historical data as to how many people they anticipate will be involved in fatal crashes. And unfortunately, the numbers go up in July. We're in July now, and we're approaching a holiday weekend. So what I need you to do, I need you, first of all, understand if you're renting a vehicle, it's not just that you have personal auto insurance and you don't have to pay for rental car coverage, okay? I want you to think about this just a little bit deeper than you normally do when you go to the rental car counter and you get that Hertz rental car and you waive all the coverages, okay? If you have a 100, 300, 100, and you have a premium credit card that offers you $60,000 to $75,000 in rental car coverage, which covers just a rental car, and then your liability coverages on your personal auto policy are solid, then you're looking pretty good. Even the Hertz website tells you that you indeed have sufficient coverage. What I want to add to that is think about increasing your limits. Even if you just do it for 90 days or 6 months. But see if you can do it for 90 days. Increase those limits to 250, 500, 300, or 250, 500, 500. Insurance companies basically know through actuarial studies and historical data, they don't typically pay a ton of personal auto policy claims over 250, really over 100. But that first 100 is where most of them come out, so that's why you're going to pay the most during that. But once you start getting into a little more excess coverage, 250, 500, 300, 250, 500, 500, or 500, a million, 500, or 500, a million. Some will sell you a million combined single limit, But what you want to keep in mind is cars are way more expensive now. Those $100,000 Escalades and Navigators, and these electric cars that you may not be able to get the parts for, going to be sitting over there waiting. Be careful what you rent. If your personal auto policy says you can rent a minivan, how many passengers can that minivan be? Some policies say that if you're over 9 passengers or 8 passengers, there's no coverage. Some rental car coverage under your credit card will also limit the type of vehicle you can rent. Others don't care. They could be exotics, and they say they're going to provide coverage. Right? I was looking at the American Express Platinum and even the Chase Sapphire Reserve. If you want to rent an exotic, you can rent an exotic, but they're only going to pay up to $75,000 for cost of repairs on that car. The American Express, I looked at one car, it was up to $150,000 that they cover in rental car coverage for the repairs to a rental car that you rent. So you have to look at each individual credit card to see what it covers. Check with your agent or the insurance company to see what your personal auto policy covers. You can find your coverages on your deck page, your declaration sheet. But if you can go in before you hit the road, before you rent a car, and increase your limits, that's one thing I recommend you do. And pay for the increase, right? They may say, oh, well, we'll bill you. Well, I'd rather go ahead and pay the bill online. Can you send me a link to pay it online, or can I just pay it online? They may give you an agent that binds the coverage. They should be able to take the payment too. Because once, there's an offer and acceptance and there's a payment, now you have a contract. Even though they may bind the coverage, but you don't want them to be able to get off the hook in case something happens this coming up weekend and you just got this coverage. So, and make sure it's in force. See how many days they'll take before they actually let it become in force, so you can understand how you need to plan your trip. Some of you that have minimal limits like 15, 30, 10, or 20, 40, 15 or 20, I want you to raise those limits as much as you can, right? You probably shouldn't be renting a car with those limits, but if you do, try to raise them up a little bit, okay? It's going to cost you a little bit, but it's going to be better for you. Or just purchase the insurances through Hertz, okay? If you're dealing with minimal state limit policies, purchase some additional coverage through Hertz. One, so that you're not stuck paying for that rental car. So in your case, you don't waive the LDW, CDW provision. You pay for that, $29.95, $39.95, $49.95 a day. You got to pay for that. Now, if you go to your own personal auto policy, it's going to be cheaper for you to raise your liability limits through your own carrier than it is to pay Hertz per day, another $49, $59, $69, or whatever they're charging. So if you can go to your own personal auto policy and increase your bodily injury and property damage limits. I would increase that property damage at least to 50. If you're at minimal limits, 15, 30. You might not be able to do better than that, but at least try to bump it up a couple levels, right? So that's what I would say to you. Now, those of you with liability only, you got to get all the coverages. Or get the one that covers the rental car and bump up your bodily injury and property damage coverages. Bump them up. Now, if you can't bump them up and you're just renting for a couple days, just go ahead and pay Hearst the extra $50, $60, $79, $89 a day, whatever it is. Bump those limits up, okay? And you're going to have to get the full enchilada, whatever they're offering, you're going to have to pay for it, okay? Because you just got liability only. So you got no protection for that car, that $40,000, $50,000 rental car. They're going to come after you. You don't want them garnishing your check for 10 years, right? But if you can, just go and bump up your coverages. See if they'll let you put full coverage on that car for a couple months and just pay it. And that would probably be the cheaper way to go. Take that extra $150 that you're going to be paying Hertz, $200, bump up your limits for 2-3 months. And if they let you and you're just going to be gone for that week or 2 weeks, bump up your limits for that 2 weeks. See if they'll let you bump them up. You may be able to go online and just bump them up yourself. So if you can bump them up and then pay it. And that way the contract is really sealed, not just bound, but it's sealed and paid for, and there'll be no questions asked in terms of whether or not you have coverage. So be careful the type of vehicle you rent. If you rent exotics, you rent three-wheelers, make sure there's coverage under your personal auto policy. Make sure there's coverage under your credit card. If you are renting passenger vans, nothing fancy but passenger vans, and you're getting that 12-seater passenger van, but your personal auto policy only covers 8 or 9 seats, can't do it. If you got to do it, then you're going to have to take out Hertz insurance, okay, to protect yourself. You're going to have higher bodily injury limits under your own PAP if you're going to have 7, 8, 9 people in that vehicle. Okay, a lot of times people want to all travel together, a couple families together, or they taking mom and grandma and they got 3, 4 kids and a couple friends, and then the husband and the wife. So you got 9, 10 people in some of these vehicles. It depends on how far you're going, but I tell you, if I could recommend something to you, rent 2 vans. It's going to be more expensive, but rent 2 vans. Don't put all those people's lives in that same one van if you can avoid it. Rent 2. And what it's going to do, if it's 2 different families or whomever, have those 2 drivers, have them named on that rental agreement. If there's another family you're traveling with, or your brother and his wife, have them rent a separate vehicle under their credit card. You double the protections. Instead of having 8, 9 people pursuing you on a bodily injury claim and you only got 100, 300 coverage for the bodily injury portion, by splitting people up, if your brother or sister have the same type of insurance and credit card and something goes wrong, now both of you have the protections at 100, 300, right? If both of you get into an accident, right, similar location, and it's 20 cars in an accident, and it's deemed to be your fault that you could have avoided it because of speed, time, distance studies, you're following too close, what have you, there's going to be double the protection. If you all got to travel together, raise those limits up. Raise them up, because everybody in that car is a negligent-free passenger other than you, the driver. and they all have the potential to pursue a claim against you. I've seen best friends file claims against each other, and it just wrecks the friendship. Certain family members that don't live in the household can file a claim against you, and even if they live in the household, if they're not your children or minors or named under your policy or credit card, they can potentially file a claim against you. And so you want to avoid that if at all possible. So this is why you want to have the protections under the credit card that's going to give you coverage for if you are renting a car and traveling. To be able to rent a car and travel and have the protections that you need, it will cover you in the event of catastrophic and tragic losses. You don't want Hertz coming after you for that credit card, and you don't want to not have enough coverage under your personal auto policy to pay bodily injury claims in the event that there's an untimely accident. Accidents are reality, they're a fact of life, and I want you to be as prepared as possible for the worst case scenario and have contingency plans. One of them, have the right credit card. Rent a car with that credit card, because that takes one line of concern or coverage off of your personal auto policy. Okay? You got $75,000 if you have the Chase Sapphire Reserve. If you have the CSP, you got $60,000 in primary coverage for the rental car. You don't even have to worry about the rental car. If you get in an accident, it's your fault. Now you're just looking at your bodily injury lines of coverage and the property damage. So that's what I would do. Already mentioned to you, bump up your limits. Make sure you use this same credit card. Make sure you pay with this credit card. You book with this credit card, okay? Find out from your credit card company, is this a Visa Infinite? Is it a Visa Signature? What benefits come with my card? If you can bump the card up, they may offer a Visa Infinite that has these coverages. You may be able to just bump the card up with your present bank or present credit card and see if you can just bump it up. And some of them may even send you the card overnight. They could send the card to your hotel. I've had it done before. So these are the kind of contingencies that you want to have. Why? Because unfortunately, last year there was 1,949,000 automobile accidents in the United States of America. And apparently we're on pace to break that. Last year it was about 39,000, just under 40,000 auto fatalities last year. We're already set to break that. We're anywhere from 21,000 to 22,000 the first 6 months of the year. So now that we're in the second 6 months of the year, the months of July, August, and September are the worst. Things go up, and it makes sense. People are on the road to traveling. They want to get to where they're going. You're going to have some sleepy drivers. You sleepy drivers, you got to pull over. Okay. I know you're used to driving 1,000, 1,500 miles, doing it all in one day. And those are the bragging rights you've had for decades. Yeah, we don't need to do that. Let's just get a hotel, pay the extra money, relax, pull over, sleep for 5 hours. That's why you got a couple drivers. If you don't, then you got to just get some rest, because you don't want to hurt anyone, and you don't want anyone to hurt you. So that's the principle, right? Do unto others as you want them to do unto you, right? It's the golden rule. So let's apply that and not have any unnecessary accidents. There are going to be some things that happen just because it's life. But driving while sleepy, driving while drinking, driving while intoxicated, I don't think we need to go over that. There are a lot of sports stars, even in the Las Vegas area. You know about someone that just got out of prison that hit and killed a lady and her dog. Okay? And this was a very famous, wealthy young man. And hopefully, you know, the apology to the family and everything he's been through will change his conduct. allow him to heal and allow the family to heal, hopefully. And so we don't want that. We don't want any tragedies. I've suffered in my own family. I had 2 cousins fatally injured in an automobile accident coming back. It was several carloads of them coming back from Florida to Louisiana. And I lost 2 of my favorite cousins. And I had to go down to the scene and investigate the matter, go look at the vehicle. It's not a good feeling standing where you lost 2 of your loved ones. So I want everyone to be careful. Most of you understand this topic about auto rental coverage and your personal auto policy, but I want you to be aware that you need to check, because as of October 2024, Chase updated the insurance portions of their policies, and as of June 23rd, we received this new updated Chase Sapphire Reserve. And so I just want you to be aware and make sure that the coverages that you have are the coverages that will be sufficient so that you can put the risk on the insurance company, okay? That's the whole business of insurance. They charge you to transfer your risk to them. So you got to pay them anyway. So in times like this, transfer the risk to them, bump up your coverages, and in the event of a worst case scenario, anything less than a fatality or serious injuries, you will be able to simply walk away from the rental car damage. Your policy will cover bodily injury claims, and your policy will also cover any property damage claims that you may have, okay? So that you don't effectuate any permanent damage to your ongoing life. You don't have any liens against your home. You don't have anybody trying to garnish your wages for 10 years or so. And you have sufficient, more than sufficient insurance to cover any loss that may conceivably happen other than loss of life, okay? And still, you want to be able to buy your peace in the event that an untimely fatality should occur on your watch, either by striking another vehicle or running off the road and seriously injuring, flipping that vehicle 3-4 times, ejecting people from the vehicle, and people losing their lives. So if we can avoid that, I want to avoid it. Thanks for watching this and taking it to heart, okay? It's BigRowTravels here on the rooftop at our place in Bangkok, Thailand. Be safe, everyone, please. Thank you.